It all started on a cool Friday evening in Austin, Texas. The city buzzed with its usual vibrance, live music pouring out of bars, food trucks crowding the streets, and the smell of barbecue lingering in the air. James Carter had just wrapped up a long week at the marketing agency where he worked. He wasn't in the mood to go out, but his best friend Marcus had convinced him. "Come on, man," Marcus had said, nudging him. "You've been in a slump since Emily. Time to get back out there." James wasn't sure. His last relationship with Emily had ended 6 months ago, and though it hadn't been tragic, it left a strange emptiness in him. But he eventually agreed, more to shut Marcus up than anything else. They ended up at a rooftop bar downtown. Strings of warm lights crisscrossed overhead, casting a golden hue over the crowd. It was there that he first saw her, Clara Henderson. She wasn't the loudest in the room or the most dressed up. In fact, she wore a simple blue dress and a denim jacket. But there was something about her that pulled James in. Maybe it was the way she laughed easily, or how she seemed present in every conversation she had. James found himself glancing her way more often than he meant to. Clara was with a group of friends, one of whom seemed to notice James staring. She whispered something into Clara's ear, and Clara turned, meeting James's eyes. She smiled. A small, polite smile. That was hint number 1. Eye contact that lingered just a bit too long. Not accidental, not awkward, intentional. A little later, as James stood near the bar pretending to check messages on his phone, Clara approached. "Hey," she said casually. "I saw you looking over a few times. I figured I'd come say hi before it got awkward." James laughed. "You beat me to it. I'm James. Clara." They shook hands. Her grip was soft but firm, and she didn't let go right away. That was hint number 2. Touch, brief but meaningful. As the night wore on, they talked. About music, their favorite places to travel, terrible dates, and their mutual love for old movies. James found himself leaning in. Clara laughed at his jokes, even the dumb ones. She asked follow-up questions. She remembered details he shared. She played with her necklace while listening to him, a subtle, subconscious move that James noticed. Hint number 3. Body language. Open posture, leaning in, light touches, and that subconscious playing with jewelry. None of it screamed desire, but together, it painted a clear picture. At one point, Clara brushed a piece of lint off his sleeve. James wasn't even sure there was any lint there. Hint number 4. Casual grooming. A small, caring gesture that showed comfort and interest. Eventually, her friends decided to leave. Clara didn't. "They're heading out," she said, tilting her head. "But I'm kind of enjoying this conversation. You mind some company a little longer?" "Not at all," James said, maybe too quickly. They found a quieter corner of the rooftop, and the music faded into background noise. She opened up more. Told him about a long-term relationship that ended last year. About how she'd spent the last few months rediscovering herself, traveling solo, trying pottery, even skydiving. "Sounds like you've been brave," James said. Clara smiled, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. "I think we're all braver than we give ourselves credit for." There was a pause. Not uncomfortable, just a natural silence where both seemed to acknowledge the shift in tone. It was more personal now, more real. And then came hint number 5, vulnerability. Not forced, not performative. She wasn't trying to impress him anymore. She was showing him who she really was. By the time they left the bar, the streetlights had flickered on, and the city had settled into its late-night rhythm. Clara walked with James to his car. "I Ubered here," she said. "Figured I might be drinking. You need a ride home?" She hesitated, looked up at him. "Maybe. Or we could grab coffee somewhere?" At 1 a.m., no coffee shop was open. She knew that. He knew that. The suggestion was its own message. James smiled. "My place is close. I've got coffee there." As they drove through the quiet streets, James's mind raced. Not in a crude way, but in a mix of excitement and nerves. He wasn't sure what would happen, and he didn't want to assume. Clara didn't owe him anything. Just because there were hints didn't mean she wanted anything physical. When they reached his apartment, Clara slipped off her shoes by the door and walked inside like she belonged there. She admired his bookshelf, picked up a photo of his parents, asked if he played the guitar sitting in the corner. James made coffee, though he knew neither of them would drink it. She sat on the couch, pulled her legs under her, and patted the spot beside her. Hint number 6. Invitation without pressure. Creating the moment without demanding a conclusion. James sat, unsure what to say. Clara turned to him, her voice softer now. "You're kind," she said. "You're not trying too hard. I like that." James looked at her, trying to find the right words. "I like you too. This feels easy." Clara nodded. "It does." She leaned in, not dramatically, not seductively, just close enough to erase the space between them. Her hand touched his cheek. Hint number 7. Mutual initiative. Not waiting, not forcing, meeting in the middle. They kissed. What followed wasn't about lust or proving something. It was about connection, vulnerability, and comfort. They didn't rush. They talked, they touched, they kissed again. And when the night finally grew quiet and they rested beside each other, it wasn't about sleeping with someone. It was about feeling safe enough to be open. The next morning, the sunlight streamed in through the blinds. Clara stretched, yawned, and smiled at James. "Hey," she said sleepily. "Morning." She sat up, pulled his hoodie over her head, and wandered into the kitchen. James followed her, brewing actual coffee this time. They ate toast and laughed at how bad his cooking was. She stayed a few more hours, and before she left, she kissed him again, not out of obligation, but as a promise. Over the next few weeks, they saw each other often. Clara wasn't the kind to fall fast, and neither was James. But they took their time, and with each date, each late-night call, each walk under the Texas stars, the hints grew into something unmistakable, genuine affection. James learned that sometimes women don't say what they feel outright, but they show it in subtle and beautiful ways. The way Clara had mirrored his body language, the way she lingered when saying goodbye, the softness in her eyes when she talked about the future. These tiny hints, they weren't about seduction. They were about trust, warmth, and quiet confidence. Clara had never said she wanted anything that night at the bar, but she showed it, respectfully, naturally, and without pressure. And James respected it just as much. Months later, James found himself looking at Clara across his living room again, just like that first night. This time, she was helping him pick out a new couch for their shared apartment. "Do you think this color works?" she asked, holding up a fabric swatch. "It works if you like it," he said, smiling. She rolled her eyes. Cop-out answer. He kissed her forehead. "It's the truth." Clara smirked. "You know you've changed." "Better or worse?" "Better," she whispered. "Much better." And just like that, a new hint bloomed. Not about attraction anymore, but about love. The kind that doesn't need loud declarations. Just shared mornings, tiny gestures, and the